So you finally found out, didn't you? Yeah, I see that look on your face. That mixture of confusion and something else. Something darker. Something that's been waiting to be named for years. They gave you a label, a classification, a file with your name stamped across it in red ink that probably shouldn't exist outside of classified government databases. Category 5, psychological threat. The highest designation they have. The one reserved for minds they can't predict, can't contain, can't neutralize through normal means. And you're sitting there wondering, wait, there's a whole ass system for this? There's a scale? There are categories? Oh, you beautiful anomaly. You gorgeous glitch in their programming. Yes, there are categories. And you just maxed out the meter. You broke the test. You didn't just score high. You became the reason they'll have to redesign the entire assessment framework, because nothing they built was designed to measure what you've become. Let me explain something they won't tell you. Something they buried in documents marked classified and do not distribute. Because the moment regular people understood this system existed, the whole charade would collapse like wet cardboard in a hurricane. They've been categorizing people for decades, sorting humanity into neat little boxes based on predictability, malleability, threat level, and psychological leverage points. Category 1, harmless, predictable, easily manipulated through basic social programming. Category 2, slightly more aware, might question authority occasionally, but ultimately falls in line when pressure is applied. Category 3, intelligent enough to see patterns, dangerous if organized, requires monitoring but manageable through standard containment protocols. Category 4, now we're getting interesting. These are the ones who've broken free from most social conditioning, operate outside normal frameworks, require active surveillance and occasional intervention to prevent disruption of the system. But Category 5? Oh, Category 5 is where you live now. And let me tell you what that means. What that truly, terrifyingly, beautifully means for your existence moving forward. Category 5 isn't just about being smart or being rebellious or being difficult to control. No. It's about something far more fundamental, far more threatening to the established order of things. Category 5 means you've developed immunity to every single psychological manipulation technique in their handbook. You don't respond to fear the way you're supposed to. You don't react to shame like they designed. You don't chase validation like the system requires. You don't perform for approval like the algorithm demands. Category 5 means you've seen through the matrix, decoded the game, understood the rules so thoroughly that you've stopped playing entirely. And that right there is the most dangerous thing a human being can do in a world built on mass compliance. They can handle rebels. Rebels are predictable. Rebels fight the system, which means they still believe in it enough to fight it. But you don't fight anymore. You simply exist outside their framework. And that existence alone is a virus spreading through their carefully constructed reality. Here's what probably happened. They noticed something about you a while back. Maybe years ago. Maybe recently. Depends on how long you've been evolving outside their sightlines. Someone flagged your file. A pattern emerged. Maybe it was the way you walked away from situations that would have trapped anyone else. Maybe it was how you stopped reacting to provocations designed to trigger specific responses. Maybe it was the silence, Oh, that silence. That terrifying, capable silence that replaced all your previous noise. They ran standard tests first, tried basic manipulation protocols, offered you the usual carrots, threatened you with the usual sticks, waited for you to fall into predictable patterns. But you didn't. You just kept moving forward on a trajectory they couldn't map, making decisions their behavioral models couldn't predict, responding to situations in ways that broke their psychological frameworks. So they escalated, moved you up the categories one by one, each time thinking, okay, this level of intervention will work, each time being proven catastrophically wrong. And now you're here, sitting at Category 5, the designation they don't like to talk about, the classification that makes the handlers nervous, the threat level that requires special protocols and eyes-only briefings. You want to know what's in your file. You want to know what they wrote about you after months or years of observation. I'll tell you, because someone leaked this, someone on the inside who got tired of lying, tired of watching them fear people who were just trying to exist authentically. Your file says things like, subject demonstrates complete immunity to social pressure. Target shows no response to standard fear conditioning. Individual has developed autonomous value system, independent of cultural programming. Psychological leverage points, non-existent or ineffective. Containment through conventional means, not viable. They documented every time you should have broken but didn't, every moment you should have conformed but refused, every instance where their predictions about your behavior were proven laughably, dangerously wrong. But let's get specific about what makes you a Category 5. Because this isn't some vague, mystical nonsense. This is concrete, measurable, documented deviation from baseline human behavior patterns they've spent billions studying. First marker, emotional autonomy. You stopped needing external validation to feel whole. You stopped checking phones for approval hits. You stopped measuring your worth through other people's eyes. You stopped performing for audiences that never deserved the show. They noticed when your dopamine system rewired itself, when you found satisfaction in things they can't commodify, can't package, can't sell back to you with a subscription fee attached. Emotional autonomy is terrifying to a system built on keeping people desperate for acceptance, desperate for likes, desperate for inclusion in tribes they control. When you became complete without them, you became impossible to leverage. Second marker, pattern recognition beyond acceptable parameters. You see too much. You connect too many dots. You understand systems at levels that make institutional authorities uncomfortable. You're not supposed to see how the game works while you're still playing it. You're not supposed to decode the manipulation while it's actively being deployed against you. You're not supposed to recognize the strings while you're dancing. But you did all of that and more. You developed the ability to read rooms, read people, read situations with accuracy that borders on precognitive. And that's not supernatural. That's just what happens when someone pays attention without the filter of comfortable lies. You see the handler before they speak, you spot the trap before it's fully set, you sense the shift in energy before others even know something changed. This makes you unpredictable because you're playing chess while they think everyone's playing checkers. And worse, you're playing chess against people who don't know you can see the whole board. Third marker, pain transmutation. This is the big one. This is what really pushed you into Category 5 territory. Normal people break under pressure. Category 1 through 3 fold completely. Category 4 might survive, but they're damaged, they're wounded, They carry trauma like open wounds. But you did something they didn't account for in their models. You turned every wound into wisdom, every betrayal into boundary-setting capacity, every moment of isolation into self-sufficiency, every loss into liberation. You didn't just survive trauma. You weaponized it. You used it as fuel. You transformed suffering into strength in ways their psychological frameworks couldn't predict or contain. They watched you go through things that should have destroyed you, things they maybe even orchestrated to push you back into controllable behavior patterns. And instead of breaking, you evolved. Instead of becoming bitter, you became precise. Instead of seeking revenge, you simply rose higher and left them all behind, suffocating in the altitude. Fourth marker, social detachment without isolation pathology. You pulled away from society, but you're not lonely. You reduced your social circle, but you're not desperate. You stopped engaging with mass culture, but you're not disconnected from reality. This breaks their models, because isolation is supposed to hurt. It's supposed to make you crawl back, seeking connection on any terms. It's supposed to be punishment that corrects behavior. But for you, distance became peace. Silence became clarity. Solitude became power. You're not antisocial. You're selectively social. You're not isolated. You're protected. You're not withdrawn. You're focused. And they can't weaponize loneliness against someone who's discovered that most company is just expensive noise. You figured out that being alone with the right person, yourself, is infinitely better than being surrounded by people who drain your energy while contributing nothing of value. Fifth marker, and this is what sealed your Category 5 status. Reality distortion field. The way you move through the world actually changes the world around you. Rooms shift when you enter. Conversations pause. Energy recalibrates. People feel something they can't name. This isn't mystical. It's physics. You're operating on a different frequency now. You've raised your baseline vibration through years of internal work they can't see and wouldn't understand if they could. You don't chase anything anymore. Things come to you. Not because you're lucky, but because you've become magnetic in ways that bypass normal social hierarchies. People sense authority without you claiming it, feel power without you displaying it, recognize depth without you explaining it. You've become one of those rare humans who exists as a category unto themselves. And categories of one can't be controlled through systems designed for masses. Now, let's talk about who's watching. Because yes, they're watching. They've been watching. They'll continue watching. And honestly, let them. The watchers come in different flavors, different levels, different agendas. But they all share one thing in common. They're terrified of what you represent because you're proof that their systems aren't absolute. First-tier watchers are the basic ones. The regular people in your life who were recruited without knowing they were recruited. Friends who ask suspicious questions. Family members who suddenly want to know your plans in unusual detail. Colleagues who seem overly interested in your decision-making processes. These people aren't evil. They're not conscious agents. They're just programmed to report anomalies, to flag deviations, to sound alarms when someone in their circle starts operating outside normal parameters. They don't even know they're doing it most of the time. It's just social conditioning. Just the immune system of mass consciousness trying to contain a foreign element. Second-tier watchers are more aware. These are the ones who actually work for institutions, corporate HR departments, tracking behavior patterns, social media analysts flagging accounts that spread ideas counter to advertiser-friendly narratives, local authority figures who keep tabs on people who don't quite fit the neighborhood vibe. These watchers have access to more sophisticated tools, more data points, more ways to observe without being observed themselves. They compile reports. They track changes over time. They look for correlations between your behavior and larger patterns of social disruption. You became visible to this tier when you stopped engaging with systems they used to measure normalcy. When you deleted apps they used to track compliance. When you stopped showing up in databases they used to predict consumer behavior. Your absence from their systems created a void. And voids are interesting to people whose job is filling in profiles on everyone. Third-tier watchers are specialists, psychologists, sociologists, behavioral analysts who study outliers professionally. These are the ones who actually understand what they're looking at when they see a Category 5. These are the ones who recognize the threat, not because you're violent or criminal or dangerous in conventional ways, but because you're free in ways that shouldn't be possible within the current social architecture. They watch you with fascination, sometimes with envy, sometimes with fear, always with respect, because they know what it takes to break conditioning. They've spent careers studying. They're the ones writing papers with your data anonymized, presenting at conferences about emerging patterns of psychological autonomy, warning institutions that the control mechanisms they rely on are becoming less effective against a growing population of people who've figured out the game. You're not alone in Category 5. There are more every year, and that's what really scares them. Fourth-tier watchers. And now we're getting into territory that sounds insane but isn't. Are the ones with actual authority, actual resources, actual capacity to intervene in your life if they decide you're too much of a threat to ignore. I'm talking about elements within security apparatus, intelligence-adjacent organizations, entities that operate in gray zones between legal and illegal, visible and invisible. Before you roll your eyes, understand this isn't paranoid fantasy. This is documented reality. These organizations exist. They have mandates to identify and track individuals who might pose threats to social stability. And threat is defined very broadly. You don't have to be planning anything illegal. You just have to be influential in ways they can't predict or control. If you've got a voice, if you've got reach, if you've got the capacity to make other people think differently, you're on someone's radar, and Category 5 means you're on a radar that matters. These fourth-tier watchers aren't monitoring you because they think you're going to commit crimes. They're watching because you're mimetically dangerous. Your ideas, your example, your very existence is contagious. People see you operating outside the matrix, and they start wondering if they can too. People see you surviving without validation from systems they're enslaved to, and they start questioning their own chains. You're not trying to start a revolution, but your liberation is revolutionary simply by existing. And that makes you more dangerous than actual revolutionaries because you can't be easily categorized, infiltrated, or neutralized. Revolutionaries follow patterns. They organize. They have demands. They have leaders who can be compromised. But you're just living your truth. And truth doesn't have a command structure. They can decapitate. Doesn't have an organization they can infiltrate. Doesn't have demands they can pretend to negotiate about while running counterintelligence operations. So what do they do with Category 5 designations? What are the protocols they deploy when standard containment has failed and someone's broken free of every psychological leash they've got? First protocol: isolation through reputation management. They'll try to make you look crazy, unstable, unreliable, dangerous to be around. This happens subtly. Whisper campaigns among mutual connections. Strategic rumors that paint you as mentally unstable. Carefully crafted narratives that make people question your judgment. They don't need to prove anything. They just need to plant seeds of doubt. Make people think twice before associating with you. Create enough social friction that you're naturally pushed to the margins, where your influence is minimized. This works on most Category 4 individuals, because most people still care what others think. But on Category 5, it just accelerates your evolution, because you've already detached from needing social approval. So isolation doesn't hurt, it clarifies. Second protocol: economic pressure. They'll try to make survival difficult, make money tight, make opportunities scarce. This doesn't necessarily mean overt conspiracy. It means being mysteriously passed over for positions you're qualified for, having business ventures face unexpected obstacles, finding that doors which should open somehow stay closed. Economic precarity is a powerful control mechanism because it keeps people focused on basic survival instead of higher order thinking, keeps them compliant because they can't risk losing what little they have, keeps them controllable through the ever-present threat of destitution. But here's what they didn't count on. Category 5 individuals have often already survived economic hardship and discovered they don't actually need as much as society claims they do. You've learned to live leaner, think clearer, operate with less overhead, and that makes you economically invulnerable in ways that terrify people whose power is based on controlling resources. Third protocol: psychological operations designed to trigger regression. They'll send people from your past back into your life, create situations designed to activate old trauma responses, engineer scenarios that might push you back into previous behavioral patterns. Maybe an ex reaches out with carefully crafted messages designed to reopen wounds. Maybe family members suddenly need you in ways that historically pulled you back into dysfunctional dynamics. Maybe opportunities appear that would require you to compromise principles you've fought hard to establish. These aren't coincidences. These are tests. They're seeing if you've really changed, or if the right pressure in the right place might crack your new foundation and reveal the old you, the controllable you, still hiding underneath. But Category 5 means you've done the internal work. You've integrated your shadows. You've healed the wounds they're trying to reopen. So these operations just roll off you like water off titanium, leaving you stronger and more certain than before. What happens when you push the only one who stood by you? The one who stayed silent while the rest screamed? The one who held the weight of their loyalty even as the world piled betrayal after betrayal on their back? You don't think about that, do you? You think silence means surrender, that patience is weakness, that loyalty is a leash you can yank whenever you please. But let me tell you something. Even the quiet ones have their limits. The loyal Sigma, you know the type. The lone wolf. The one who never asks for anything, never begs, never breaks. They sit in the shadows, holding your world together while you throw dirt in their face. A silent storm, calm, until you make the mistake of pushing them too far. And then, then you'll see what chaos really looks like. You wanted loyalty? You'll get wrath. You wanted silence? you'll get screams in your head that'll never go away. You wanted control? I'll show you what it means to lose every bit of it. Because when you shove someone who's spent their life holding it all together, something snaps. And what comes out of that snap isn't something you can cage. You see, I've learned something about people like you. You think you can test a Sigma like we're some experiment. You think you can take and take and take and that we'll just stand there, smiling, unshaken, holding the line for you. But the joke's on you now. You've woken something, and it's coming. Loyalty. It's a rare thing, isn't it? A fragile thread in a world full of backstabbers and opportunists. But when you find a Sigma, oh, their loyalty is something else entirely. It's not loud. It doesn't beg for attention or parade itself around. No, it's quiet, steady, like the roots of an ancient tree that hold everything together while the storm rages above. A Sigma's loyalty isn't born from fear, it's born from choice, commitment. They don't stay because they have to, they stay because they want to. Because when they give their word, it's ironclad. But here's the thing no one tells you about loyalty. It comes with limits. And those limits, most people are too blind to see them. You think their silence is submission. You think their patience is permission to push them further, to take what you want, demand what you need, and give nothing in return. And you think, just because they don't scream, they'll never strike. But let me give you a warning. Push too far, and that same loyal Sigma, the one who once stood by you when no one else would, will become your greatest nightmare. Because loyalty isn't weakness. It's strength, unshakable, unbreakable strength. But when you mistake it for compliance, when you spit on it, when you think you can break the unbreakable, you awaken something you can't control. And that's where your real problem begins. Betrayal. It's funny, isn't it? How it always comes from the ones closest to you. The ones who swore they'd have your back, only to shove the knife in when you weren't looking. You were the silent backbone. The one who carried the weight of everyone else's chaos, while they danced in the spotlight like they'd done it all themselves. They took you for granted, thought your silence was eternal, that your calm was just part of the scenery. But they forgot something, didn't they? A storm doesn't stay quiet forever. They took the quiet storm for granted, thinking the calm would never turn into a hurricane. You've felt it, haven't you? The sting of being overlooked, the pain of giving everything, only to be left with nothing. In relationships, where your loyalty was traded for lies. In friendships, where your support was met with empty smiles. At work, where your efforts were buried under someone else's name. It's exhausting, it's infuriating, but worst of all, it makes you question yourself. Am I not enough? Was my loyalty a mistake? No, the mistake wasn't yours. The mistake was theirs. Because they didn't see the strength in you. They didn't see the fire, the storm, the hurricane that's been building, quietly, patiently, behind your calm exterior. They thought you'd never fight back, that you'd stay silent, that you'd keep holding everything together, even as they tore you apart. But here's the truth. They underestimated you. And that was their first and final mistake. You ever wonder why they test you? Why they push and poke, like children playing with fire, thinking they won't get burned? It's not an accident. Oh no. It's deliberate. It's envy. It's insecurity. It's their desperate attempt to bring you down to their level. Because they know they'll never reach yours. People don't test the weak, they test the strong. They test the quiet ones, the calm ones, because they don't understand the depth of what lies beneath. And when they look at you, someone who doesn't scream for attention, someone who doesn't need validation, they see a mirror that reflects their own inadequacies. So they push harder and harder. They confuse your patience for passivity, your calm for cowardice, your silence for surrender. But they don't understand, do they? They don't know that beneath the surface, you're a storm waiting to be unleashed. It frustrates you, doesn't it? To give so much and be treated like nothing. To hold your ground while they poke at it like it's made of sand. They think you're soft because you don't strike first. They think you're weak because you don't bite back. But here's the thing, they're not testing you because you're weak. They're testing you because they're terrified of your strength. They can feel it, even if they'll never admit it. And they push because they think if they can break you, they'll somehow fix the cracks in themselves. But let me tell you something. They can push all they want. All they're doing is loading the spring, coiling the tension tighter and tighter. And when you snap, they'll wish they'd never tested you in the first place. And then it happens. That moment, that split second when everything changes. The switch flips, and the silence they mistook for surrender becomes the loudest thing they've ever heard. It's not an explosion, it's a calculated storm, a cold, deliberate shift that sends shivers down their spine before they even realize what's coming. The Sigma doesn't erupt in chaos, they become the chaos. Every ounce of loyalty they drained, every drop of patience they burned, every quiet sacrifice they ignored, it all transforms into something unstoppable. The mask of loyalty drops, and what's underneath? The monster they created, the shadow they fed with their betrayals, their disrespect, their endless pushing. It rises from the darkness, calm yet terrifying, like a predator stalking its prey. It's not rage, it's precision. It's not noise, it's silence, so sharp it cuts through the air like a blade. They don't see it coming, and by the time they do, it's already too late. The hands that once held them up are now the ones pulling the strings, unraveling their world thread. And the beauty of it? The Sigma doesn't even have to say a word. The very absence of that loyalty, that patience, is enough to make them crumble. They wanted to see what would happen if they pushed too far. And now, they're staring directly into the abyss they thought they could control. It's poetic, isn't it? How the same quiet strength they took for granted becomes the force that undoes them. How the storm they dismissed as harmless now tears through everything they built. And as they stand there, shaking, scrambling to undo what can't be undone, they realize one thing. They never stood a chance. Because the Sigma they pushed too far is no longer a supporter, a friend, a lifeline. No, they're a reckoning. Revenge? It's not what they think it is. They expect fire and fury, screaming and chaos. But a Sigma's revenge? Oh, it's quieter than that, deadlier than that. It's not about shouting from rooftops. It's about letting actions scream louder than any words ever could. You don't chase them down, you don't waste your breath. Instead, you disappear into the shadows they tried to keep you in. And when you emerge, you come back sharper, stronger, untouchable. They built a cage for you, thinking they'd keep you small, keep you controlled. But here's the irony. They didn't lock the door. And now they're the ones trapped in it, unable to escape what's coming. A Sigma doesn't strike out of spite. No, that's too easy, too predictable. Instead, you let their own doubts, their own arrogance, become their downfall. You rise so high, so far beyond their reach, that their whispers of betrayal become screams of regret. Every silent moment, every ignored slight, every betrayal they thought you'd forgotten, it all fuels the fire. But this fire doesn't burn recklessly. It's cold, controlled. And it doesn't just consume them, it leaves a mark so deep they'll never forget who they underestimated. You don't fight to prove them wrong, you fight to remind yourself who you are. Because their betrayal wasn't just a challenge, it was a catalyst. A Sigma's revenge isn't about them, it's about you. About building something so undeniable, so unstoppable, that they're forced to confront the truth. They lost. And when they finally see it, when they're left staring at the ruins of their own arrogance, that's when the silence hits the hardest. Because the absence of your loyalty is louder than any scream they'll ever hear. Silence. It's the weapon they never see coming. No warning, no fanfare, just a cold, calculated stillness that speaks louder than rage ever could. While they expect you to lash out, to crumble under the weight of their betrayal, you do the unthinkable. You stay silent. You don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you react. That's where the real power lies. A Sigma doesn't act out of emotion. No. That's what they want. They want you to stumble, to lose control, to play their game on their terms. But you're smarter than that. You don't play their game. You flip the board and write your own rules. Every betrayal, every ounce of pain, they're just pieces of the puzzle you're putting together. You take that pain and turn it into precision, into a strategy so sharp it cuts through their expectations like a blade. While they're busy watching for your explosion, you're building something unstoppable right under their noses. Let them wonder. Let them feel the weight of your silence, the tension of the unknown. Because silence is the loudest response. It's the space where their doubts grow, where their insecurities fester. And when you finally move, when you strike, it's not out of anger. It's out of purpose. Remember this. Your silence is not weakness. It's a weapon. A weapon they handed you when they underestimated you. Sharpen it. Wield it. And when the time comes, use it to show them exactly who they pushed too far. Because nothing terrifies them more than someone who can turn pain into power without ever losing control. And that's the essence of a Sigma. Fear, regret. Two sides of the same coin. That's what they feel when they realize what they've done. When the dust settles and the silence stretches endlessly, they finally understand the cost of pushing a Sigma too far. You see, your absence isn't just a void. It's a haunting. A ghost that lingers in every corner of their mind, reminding them of the calm storm they once mocked. They took your loyalty for granted, never imagining the weight of its absence. And now they're suffocating in the silence they thought they wanted. They'll replay the moments, the snide remarks, the dismissals, the betrayals, wondering which one tipped the scale. The absence of your presence becomes deafening, like an echo in an empty room. Every time they look around and see you're not there, it's a dagger in their chest, twisting slowly. Own it. The pain, the betrayal, the darkness they left you in. Don't fight it. Embrace it. Let it shape you, sharpen you, fuel you. Because the greatest revenge isn't in destruction, it's in creation. Creation of a version of you they'll never forget. Use their betrayal as your ignition, the spark that lights a fire so bright it blinds them. Take everything they underestimated about you, your patience, your loyalty, your silence, and transform it into something unstoppable. Let them regret losing you, not because of what you've taken from them, but because of what you've become without them. Here's the truth. Pain is power. If you let it be, you can wallow in it, let it break you, or you can use it. Every sleepless night, every silent scream, every tear you refuse to shed, they're tools, weapons. Build something with them. Build yourself. Stop asking why they did what they did. Stop waiting for an apology that will never come. Instead, ask yourself this: what will I do with the chaos they left me in? The answer is simple. Thrive in it. Let it be the foundation of your greatness. And here's your first step. Focus. Not on them, but on you. Silence the noise of their betrayal and channel all that energy into your next move. Learn something new. Build something unshakable. Prove to yourself, not to them, that their betrayal was the best thing that ever happened to you. Because when you rise from the darkness, stronger and more relentless than ever, you'll realize something profound. Their actions didn't break you. They unleashed you. And that's their greatest regret. You pushed me to the edge, and now? Now you'll watch me build an empire from the pieces of your betrayal. Every broken shard, every shattered expectation, every moment you thought would bring me down, it all becomes the foundation of something they'll never understand. You thought you could break me. You thought you could control me. But all you did was give me the materials to rise higher than you ever dared to dream. And when I stand at the top of that empire, built from the wreckage of your lies, your arrogance, your mistakes, don't think for a second I'll forget who gave me the power to get here. You'll watch, you'll stare, powerless, as the one you tried to bury becomes the force that reshapes everything. The joke's on you now, and trust me, I'm just getting started. So here's the truth. The next time someone dares to push you, don't break. Don't crumble under their weight. No, show them what loyalty turned savage looks like. Show them that when you push a Sigma too far, you're not just unleashing chaos. You're creating a force that can't be stopped.